All right, take two. Welcome to another episode of Critical Wade Theory. And today I'm diving into a track that doesn't always get the spotlight, but absolutely deserves it. It's Ghost Dancing by Simple Minds from their 1985 album Once Upon a Time. Now, even if the title Ghost Dancing doesn't immediately ring a bell, you may have heard other songs from this album, especially if you're a fan of 1980s rock. There are some big songs from this band and from this album too, like Alive and Kicking and Sanctify Yourself, which also helped define the band's sound during their peak. But Ghost Dancing is a little deeper in the track list, and in some ways, it captures the band's identity even better, at least in my opinion, based on what I've heard from this band. Now, like I often say when I'm introducing these episodes, I won't claim to be like the foremost super fan of this band, of Simple Minds. And I just don't want to lie to people and give them the false idea that, oh, like they're my favorite band of all time. But I can say that this band does have a special place in my history, actually, because the song Don't You Forget About Me was actually one of the two tracks that my dad selected to be played at his funeral. So it's a little bit harder to hate a band when that's really a part of, the their uh history, when it ties into my own history. I mean, that's really one of the things about bands like this, and I suppose bands of all genres, is they become part of your life almost whether you want them to be or not. And the other song that my dad selected was House of the Rising Sun by the Animals. Now, I didn't always get along with my dad in the best way. I mean, it was one of those complicated kind of things, to say the least. But nevertheless, it kind of reshaped how I view that song and this band in general. And I just wanted to share that. So let's talk about the sound of this song a little bit. This is classic mid 80s Simple Minds. You've got driving guitar riffs, pulsing rhythms, and I think there's probably some synthesizer involved that helps build into something big and anthemic. And it's right at the intersection of rock, new wave, and synth pop. And there's a little bit of a U2 vibe in this song. I gotta admit, like I definitely drew the mental comparison to U2, although it's definitely also got enough distinction that I could tell that it's Simple Minds. So I'm sure there's some Simple Minds fans who are like, "No, I hate U2. Don't compare the two bands." But nevertheless, I just couldn't help but do it mentally when I heard this song. And then there's the voice, frontman Jim Kerr delivers the vocals with a sense of urgency. There's a sense that something important is being said even before you fully catch the lyrics. Or maybe you don't catch the lyrics at all, but you just get that sense of urgency to what he's saying. And, there's also a meaning behind the song. Ghost Dancing reflects a shift in the band during this era. Around the mid 1980s, Simple Minds was becoming more socially and politically engaged, from what I understand, and their music started to echo some real world problems. And I guess that also lends a little bit into their U2 vibe, I guess you could say, because Bono was also known for trying to have some politically aware lyrics and stuff like that. And the themes involve freedom, hope, and activism and all that kind of stuff. And you can hear the same spirit that runs through songs like Blowing in the Wind, where music becomes a kind of question or a call to action. Music has that history of sometimes lending itself to activism, or at least just vaguely activist style messages. And musicians, of course, take a lot of heat for that. I think that's a pretty common thing for people to say, oh, you're full of yourself, you're taking yourself too seriously, you're not going to really actually make a difference with these songs and all that kind of stuff. But at least you could say there's an attempt to make a difference, however vague it is. And I don't think it's always uh, misleading to say that there is some impact, when it comes to raising awareness through song and art in general. It's just anytime you do that, you're going to be criticized as an artist. Some people are going to think you're being too full of yourself or whatever. And, that context also adds a little bit of depth to this song. This was the time of major global awareness movements, and Simple Minds were involved in events like Live Aid and supported organizations like Amnesty International. And when you hear ghost dancing, it's part of that whole vibe. It's part of a bigger moment where artists were trying to use their platform for something a little bit more than just music. And I think that's a cool thing overall. I mean, it's there's a little bit of a temptation to, roll your eyes a little bit and say whatever, who cares? And that's a little bit of the surrounding culture that I'm part of as an American. We're almost trained to just be cynical about these things, but I personally enjoy some of these aspects of music. The idea that you can at least try to make a difference, hack away at certain injustices in the world. And even though Ghost Dancing wasn't released as a single, it became a fan favorite. It's the kind of track that really comes alive on stage where that energy and message will be, it'll hit you with more full force. And meanwhile, Once Upon a Time as an album was a massive success and helped establish Simple Minds as one of the defining bands of the 1980s. And of course, if nothing else, you might have seen The Breakfast Club, and you've got that history with the band because this song, not this song, but this band is a key part of that movie. It's part of that 1980s nostalgia. And if you're exploring their catalog beyond the hits, Ghost Dancing is definitely worth your time. It's energetic and thoughtful and captures a band at a point where music and meaning were starting to merge in a powerful way, or at least that's what they were trying to do. And there was some success with the activist elements of music in the 1980s, but obviously wasn't successful enough because there's still injustice in the world. So we maybe need more music like this. you know the answer is not to have fewer bands doing this kind of stuff, but maybe to have more people doing this kind of stuff. Well, thanks for listening. I think that's about all I need to say about this song. If you enjoyed the episode, stick around because there's plenty more music worth rediscovering. I'll be having more music reviews in the future, and you can also look at my other music reviews and check out the other content that I've got on this podcast. I've got tons of stuff. It's not to say you're going to like every episode. In fact, sometimes I get a little experimental with what I do, but I've also got like interviews. I'm doing more of those on the podcast and so on and so forth. So, all right, like and subscribe. Feel free to share the episode, make a comment, whatever. If you want, you could criticize me and do that kind of stuff too. Or you could give high praise to what I do. It's up to you. Anyway, have a beautiful and splendid day.